off without another word. I pushed the thick wooden door and entered the store, a bell above me ringing out. The musty smell of old books and wooden shelves is distinctly anachronistic? I don't know. Good dictionary. I look at to the counter beside the door. The graying man behind it sits there silently reading a tattered book. He certainly fits the look of the place. Slowly wandering through the aisles, the person I'm reminded of as I inspect each handcrafted or imported oddity in turn is Hanako. Crouching down, I examine the ancient oak desk inside the shop window. At least $30, all varying wildly in size and make. The only similarity between them is the long Victorian dresses they wear. I turn the price tag of one that looks to be about waist height. It's not my price bracket at all. I do the same to each of them, getting more and more depressed as they get smaller and smaller in size. That is until I reach the very smallest one. It's affordable, just yet of quality make with long auburn hair and a little blue dress. Besides that, it's kind of a present Hanako would appreciate. Pretty looking and far from gaudy. Alright, anyways. After I carefully pick it up, I decide to keep looking around the store. I'm not sure whether it's because I like the atmosphere or out of simple curiosity. Peeking around the corner before I go to the next aisle, I see the shelves in this one are stocked with wooden toys, from toy cars to intricate automatons. Tucked behind the line of nutcrackers, I notice a plain wooden box. It feels surprisingly light as I pick it up with my free hand. The lid only needs the smallest movement to pop open. A little metal drum inside begins to rotate immediately. For seconds on end, I simply stand there listening to the palm-sized melody. As it plays, I take the tiny price tag in my fingers and bring it up to my face, the minuscule cursive writing taking some effort to read. It's affordable, sort of. Grimacing slightly, I close the lid and make my way to the counter with doll and music box in hand. Oh, cool. I forgot that because I've seen, this was in Hanako's playthrough, which I watched, but I forgot they had this guy. When I laid the two on the counter, the man behind it sits up and takes stock of them. He doesn't hide very well his surprise at someone of my age buying them. It's painful, but I hand over the money for the two and leave the store with a small, opaque bag in hand. Hidaki being there takes me by surprise. Oh, hi. I thought you'd be at the newsstand. Akira gave me a call. She's waiting for us at the fountain with Lily. At least that solves the issue of trying to find them again. We head off back to the fountain. Hidaki's immaculate posture and presentation, despite his appearance, makes for a strange contrast even as we walk. Drink. Lily and Akira stand there waiting for us. Their faces hard to read. Hey, you ready to go, Shorty? Hidaki's mood seems to improve as he rejoins her. See ya, Lily, Hisao. Tell Hanako I said happy birthday. We will, bye. Goodbye, Akira. With that, the two disappear into the fracas of the afternoon city crowd. Turning to Lily, I know she's carrying a small bag. It's now that I realize why her disposition felt different from before. While Lily's typically the type to wear her emotions on her sleeve, her expression and tone are clouded and difficult to read. It's more than a little off-putting, but given the effort she's making to hide her emotions, I doubt she wants to be cornered on why she's feeling this way. Already bought Hanako a present? Yes, have you? Yeah. Shall we head back to the bus stop then? Okay. There should be a bus back to Yamaku pretty soon. And with that, we begin to walk. It feels strange compared to before. Lily's hand on my forearm feels unusually tense, and the whole atmosphere is extraordinarily awkward. The silence continues for a long while. I really don't like seeing her like this. Nako's birthday party is going to have to be held earlier. Is the 4th going to be alright for you? I have no other possible obligations anyway, so I reflexively nod. Only afterwards do I remember that doing so is pointless and quickly answer so by speech. She tries to collect herself, a task that looks almost pitiable in how plain it is to see how distant her thoughts are. Sorry, Hisao, you said the bus would be coming soon, right? That's right. And now that she says that, I have an idea. Actually, do you have anything to do later today? I don't believe so. Why do you ask? This is the point where I normally take your hand, rush you somewhere, but even without that, you'll have to trust me, okay? I take her hand and gently lead her on. Her distant face replaced one of mild surprise and curiosity. As the waitress sets the cup of tea and cup of coffee that I ordered onto the table, I thank her before she takes her leave. Truth be told, I really lucked out in finding the cafe. I didn't really know where I was going. Rather, I was just looking for any cafe that looked relatively nice. Having managed to recover a little, Lily tentatively sips at her cup as I take a long gulp of the coffee in front of me. As I hoped, her face lights up as she realizes what flavor it is. Ah, this is wonderful. Hisao, how did you know that this was... I asked for French vanilla black tea, hedging my bets that it would be her favorite flavor, or at least one she liked. While I didn't really know much about tea, it sounded like one she might appreciate, on the basis of her liking vanilla ice cream. A tea connoisseur, I am definitely not. It was a lucky guess. You really like tea, don't you? She puts her teacup down and gives a tiny nod, that familiar small smile thankfully perched on her face once again. Drinking tea is calming, I think. With the amount you drink, I'm sure you're not addicted. Sure you're not addicted to it? Caffeine addictions are pretty common nowadays. Did I ever say I wasn't? She lets out a giggle as my head drops. We all have our vices, I suppose, and there are worse things to be addicted to. French vanilla black tea, huh? I'll have to remember that. For a while, we both silently drink. It's comforting to have someone like her nearby in such new surroundings, even if it's just the two of us sitting in silence. I begin to wonder if this feeling is the same for her until she sets down her cup. Hisao, do you mind if I ask you a slightly odd question? Oh boy, that depends on the question, I guess. I was wondering, what your favorite color is? Everyone has one, after all. I almost replied before realizing why seemingly mundane question is quite strange. My favorite color, but she gives a pouting look, wanting me to answer anyway. While the answer seems unavoidably wasted on her, there isn't any harm in giving it. I've always had a thing for green. I'd say that's my favorite. Green, is it? What things do you think of when contemplating that color? I think of frogs. And money. I suppose grass fields and trees in summer. The army as well, with camouflage. They're in Japan, so Japan doesn't really have a military. Which, yeah, because we have 2 aircraft carrier. Well, not 2. Well, we have our military there. It's what happened after World War II, you know. They might have a small military, but not really one that would support their nation on its own. Men always seem to like the military. But that sounds like a nice color. A very nice color. She nods her head a little, as if approving of the choice. Considering how foreign the concept of color is to her mind, labeling it by association seems reasonable enough. If everyone has a favorite color, then what's yours? Really? If she was blind since birth, she doesn't know what colors are. White. I'm told that's the color of snow and of ice cream. You're no better than me then if you only like color because of a favorite food. I guess white is nice too, though. And speaking of colors, it'll be getting dark soon. Let me help you up. Lily offers her hand, which I take in mine to help lever her up from her seat at the table. Its softness compared to mine takes me off guard, as I'm not really used to such casual contact. It doesn't seem to bother her at all, though. While it seems obvious why, it feels like just one more ladylike aspect to her. As her hand moves to her pocket, I quickly cut her off. Don't worry, I'll pay for this. Oh, thank you, Hisao. She gives an earnest smile as a gesture, a reward much greater than that of her words. By the time we step off the bus, it's well and truly dark. We make our way up the hill in silence, both of us behaving a little awkwardly, probably because of the day's events. While I'm still concerned over Lily's withdrawn nature after meeting with her sister, the fact that I managed to cheer her up even slightly feels like a personal victory. But it feels like the air between us has changed. Maybe it's only a bit, but it's something I don't think either of us realized before. That was a date, wasn't it? It was. That doesn't elude either of us, and the question's answer being so self-evident as to be rhetorical. No, Rhetorical or rhetorical? Because I've heard rhetoric and I've heard rhetoric and rhetorical. Whatever. It's rhetorical thinking about it because self-evident. Okay, yeah. Awkward as it may be, I don't think this feeling is bad. In fact, quite the opposite. I don't know what it is. I certainly can't be sure, but it feels like something a little more than friendship. Yeah, buddy. Understanding, empathy, searching for the words to adequately describe it is difficult. Nonetheless, would you like to do this again sometime, Lily? Without shopping for presents? The tentative answer is met with the same look from Lily as before. Her pale skin makes the rosy tint on her cheeks just slightly more noticeable, and her face, though still pointed to the street ahead of her, lowers just a little. Okay. Got a second date. Whoop, whoop. Sorry. I'm like about an hour left, and then my roommate should be home. I walk down the hall to the girls' dormitories, my school bag in hand. A doll lies inside, carefully placed on top of a small box. I've been carrying the box in there for a while now, still not sure what to do with it. The whole situation, come to think of it, is bizarre. Well, I've known Hanako's upcoming birthday party for a while now. I had no idea what the celebrations would be until I found a single note left in the abandoned tea room earlier today. Hold it up and read it again, double checking the instructions. It's a plain blank black handwriting, clearly legible despite Lily's blindness, clearly thanks to considerable effort and care. Hisao, we'll be holding a party at my place. Please come at 6 o'clock to the room 225 in the girls' dormitory. Sorry for not notifying you this way, but I have class representative duties. Lily Satao. Not reassured, I keep walking down the hallway until I reach Lily's dormitory room. Dormitory. God, why can't I? Whatever. I hesitate for a second, but eventually get 3 sharp taps on the door. A brief and muffled exchange of words can be heard from the other side. Listening closer, I can just pick out Hanako and Lily's voices. As they finish, Lily calls out, "Might that be Hisao? Yep, I got the note you left for me. You can come in, the door is unlocked." Glad that I managed to get the right room, I press down on the handle and let myself in. As the door swings open, my greeting to them is stolen from my mouth. Whew. Black is pretty good looking, especially with Lily. And Hanako looks cute too. I always have a soft spot for Hanako, I don't know why. Lily sits on a low table in the center of the room in her pajamas, while on the other side sits Hanako in her nightgown. Being dressed in only my normal school clothes, I feel quite out of place. I steal a quick glance at the lovely sight of the two, my eyes tearing themselves from Lily's long, thin, and pale legs, with a measure of reluctance. Hi, I think I brought everything that was needed. She smiles and nods. I wonder if she's even aware of the pleasant sight she makes. The thin, dark blue silk on of her pajamas really suits her. Essentially both her eyes and her curves. The looks of her last night, that tentative and almost shy demeanor, seems all but replaced by her coy nature. It's nice to see her confidence returned, though I can't help casting my mind back to how she looked back then. I look to Hanako, who nervously sits opposite her in her gown. It isn't a surprise that she'd wear something so conservative, though it definitely looks cute. Hi Hanako, happy birthday. Thank you. She's unusually skittish, despite the fact that she's warmed up to me considerably over the weeks. We've come to know each other. This is a pretty unusual sight, I guess. Feel free to take a seat, Hisao. I just poured you two some tea. Sure thing. Lily takes the steaming red teapot from the side of the table and gently pours its content into our teacups as I take a seat beside them, setting my bag against the nearby wall. With my senses returned and hormones somewhat calmer, I realize that this is the first time I've ever been in Lily's room. The first thing I notice is the ambient smell, just slightly different from that in mine. Probably faint perfume or nail polish. It could be anything of a girl's, really. Another is the plain nature of the wall, visually. Beige walls, a smart yet adorned cabinet, the lack of posters or wall hangings is distinctively utilitarian. Something I should have anticipated given her blindness. The only thing that really seems out of the ordinary is several piles of books sitting on the floor, each reaching from roughly knee height to waist height. Some of them are printed titles, others are entirely blank except for dots of braille. The fact that the ones with printed titles are uniformly in English is interesting, though not completely unexpected. She did mention her parents impressing the language upon her and Akira, after all. Your room looks nice, Lily. I hear a call of thanks from beside my shoulder. Looking back to Hanako, her gaze is fixed on her lap, and her hands are nervously clutching her gown. It's now that I notice why. With these clothes on, the extent of her scarring is far more visible, reaching down her neck and out to the corner of her right shoulder. Considering that this is a party for her, she doesn't really look like she's enjoying the experience now that I'm here. So how old are you turning? 18? Her look of surprise, not at all helped by my total lack of skill at hiding her feelings, shows that she was trying to mentally tune me out. This is really quite awkward. Yes. On the plus side, there's only 2 more years till you can drink, and this is Japan standards. America, 21. 'Cause we suck. I don't know. Drinking's really not a huge deal. So who's older, you or Lily? Lily, she has her birthday in February. What about yours? Earlier this year, so it's already passed. Unstated is that it passed while I was stuck in the hospital. That was a particularly low point of the experience. Conversation with her dries up as quickly as expected. It isn't long before Lily's finished preparing our drinks, setting down the 3 teacups in front of us. I pick mine up, immediately noticing a much stronger aroma and taste in the tea we've been having. Tastes different from the tea we have in school. It's a different variety, rather than the kind we've been having there. You never tasted orange Japur